retired officer of the Camp Verde Police Department. I won't reveal my real name to the public out of fear that I'll be labeled a madman. For those who don't know me, you can call me Officer Crow. I began working in the force when I was fresh out of college. Over the years, I've dealt with every dangerous scenario possible. Robberies, domestic violence, gangs, you name it. I thought I'd seen it all until one night that would scar me for life in more ways than one. It was 1983, and I got a call about a possible home invasion. The resident was a woman who I'm going to call Jessica. Jessica was a 36-year-old nurse who just returned home from work. She was about to hit the sack when she heard something coming from the basement. The door was closed, so Jessica wasn't sure what she heard at first. She opened the door and heard multiple male voices laughing and chatting in the basement. Terrified, the nurse ran to her neighbor's house and called the police. My partner and I happened to be closest to Jessica's neighborhood. Let's call my partner Officer Williams. Williams and I pulled up to Jessica's house at around 10 p.m. The front door was left ajar when Jessica evacuated her house. With our guns drawn, Williams and I entered the estate. It was dead silent in there, even from the now open basement door. Regardless, Williams and I had to check the whole house before we could leave. Jessica's house was a typical 2-story suburban home, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom with a pool in the backyard. At some point during our search, I went down to the basement while Williams was still upstairs. I was beginning to think that the intruders left when I found something in the basement. There was a counter and some bar stools stacked up beside it. There was also a wooden door that was locked. It took a few seconds for me to figure out what I'd stumbled upon. When I was a kid, my grandpa would tell me stories about the Prohibition era. He even confided in me that he was a patron of some of the Speakeasy bars. Being in Arizona, I've stumbled upon a few of these places myself. Some of them still had alcohol hidden somewhere, so I presume that whatever was behind that door must have been that. I was searching for the key when Williams entered the basement. "Another speakeasy, huh?" he commented. "You think those guys were looking for some booze?" "It's possible," I replied. I found the key taped under the bar, but as soon as I removed it from its place, I heard what sounded like raspy breathing. I could tell by the look on my partner's face that he heard it too. We were the only 2 people in the abandoned speakeasy. Both of our flashlights were aimed at the locked door. I tried to refrain from shaking when I unlocked it. I was then about to turn the knob when I heard what I could only describe as something between a scream and a desperate gasp for air. I turned my flashlight to the source of the noise, which was in William's direction. A skinny humanoid grabbed him from behind as he made that cry. It bit down on my partner's jugular and pushed him to the ground before biting him again. The creature looked frail and dirty, as if it hadn't bathed or eaten in weeks. I shot at it once, but the bullet phased through him. I tried kicking at it, but my legs somehow went through him as well. When it was over, William's screams and struggling ceased. The humanoid stood up from my partner's body and turned to me. Blood covered the lower half of its face, and I could get a better look at it. It was wearing clothes covered in dust. I also saw a bullet hole on his forehead that I knew I had nothing to do with. I ran out of the basement when the creature made that horrible sound again. I could still hear it as I passed out at the front door. When I came to, I was in a hospital. The doctors explained that more units were sent to Jessica's house when Williams and I failed to return to the station. They found me passed out and Williams dead and called an ambulance. I didn't know what to tell my fellow cops when they asked me what had happened. No way they'd believe me if I said that some monster attacked Williams. So instead, I just said that some crazy guy ambushed him while we searched Jessica's house. I even told everyone that Williams went down to the basement before me. When other units investigated Jessica's house, they found out what was behind that door in the basement. It turned out that there was alcohol locked in that room, but that wasn't all. They also found a dead body lying on the crates of liquor. When Jessica was brought in for questioning, she told us everything she knew about the house. The nurse knew that the basement was a speakeasy when she moved in 3 days before the incident. She never went down to the basement, but as a history fan, she was compelled to look up the history of her home. The speakeasy was called Peter's Pub. Peter was an unemployed man who lived in Jessica's house during Prohibition. When he learned about speakeasies, he saw this as an opportunity to make money. Peter's Pub's patrons were limited to his neighbors, as they were the only people Peter could trust. But little did he know, one of his friends would turn on him. One neighbor of his was a member of one of the most feared mobs in Camp Verde. The rest of the story was revealed by a member who was caught by the police during that time. Once, Peter was unable to earn enough money to pay the mob. That's when he came up with an idea to be rid of them forever. One night, he invited the entire mob to his speakeasy for free drinks. At first, everyone was having a good time, but then some mobsters began to feel unwell. It only took one of them to stop breathing for everyone to understand what was going on. Peter poisoned all of the alcohol in his bar. The mob boss, who hadn't consumed enough poison yet, decided that he would punish Peter for his betrayal. The poor guy was shot, then tossed into the room with his poisoned goods. I saw the picture of Peter's remains, which looked exactly like the thing that killed Williams. After comparing the dates, I realized that the night Williams and I found Peter's Pub was the 50th anniversary of Peter's death. I began to put the pieces together and understood everything. Those voices Jessica heard were the souls of the mobsters who died down there. And that thing that consumed William's blood was his ghost craving one last drink.